Hello students, welcome to NM Tutorials. I am Nitin Mathur, your teacher. Today we will discuss the concept of type conversion in Python. But before starting, please subscribe my channel, like my videos, and please do comments, right? If you like the video, then please do comment. If you don't like the video, then please do comment. Please comment if you like the video, and no problem if you don't like the video. And you can comment if you want to learn any specific topic, so please comment. I'll definitely make a video on that particular topic, right? So let's start with the today's topic, that is the type conversion in Python. Now, the concept of type conversion. The type conversion is a process to convert one type of data into another type. One type of data into another type. There are two types of type conversions, right? Generally, there are two types of type conversions, right? One is implicit type conversion and one is explicit type conversion. In implicit type conversion, right? So implicit type conversion is an automatic conversion of one type of data into another type. It is also known as type promotion. Explicit type conversion, it is a forceful conversion of one type of data into another type. It is also known as type casting. दैट मीन्स कि इम्प्लिसिट में ऑटोमेटिकली वर्किंग परफॉर्म होगी, ऑटोमेटिकली एक टाइप का डेटा दूसरे टाइप में कन्वर्ट होगा, यानी कि जो स्मॉलर टाइप होगा वो हायर टाइप में कन्वर्ट होगा, और अगर हायर टाइप स्मॉलर में कन्वर्ट होगा तो डेटा लॉस का सिचुएशन हो सकता है हमारे पास. सिमिलरली एक्सप्लिसिट टाइप कन्वर्जन, दैट इज फोर्सफुल, कि अगर हम फोर्सफुली एक टाइप के डेटा को किसी दूसरे टाइप में कन्वर्ट करते हैं, तो इस टाइप कन्वर्जन के कॉन्सेप्ट में बेटा वन थिंग मस्ट बी कीप इन माइंड कि अगर हम किसी भी हायर टाइप को लोअर टाइप में कन्वर्ट करेंगे तो डेटा लॉस की सिचुएशन डेफिनेटली वहां पे राइज करेगी. फॉर एग्जांपल कि आई हैव से सपोज फ्लोट वैल्यू 4.25, और अगर मैं इस 4.25 को इंटीजर में कन्वर्ट करूंगा तो क्या होगा बेटा, जो हमारे पास पॉइंट्स की वैल्यू है वो ट्रंकेट हो जाएगी, right? The decimal place values will be truncated. Only 4 will be there in the integral part, right? तो इस केस को हमें हमेशा ध्यान रखना है कि कभी भी हम टाइप कन्वर्जन कर रहे हैं तो अगर हायर टाइप को लोअर टाइप में कन्वर्ट करते हैं तो डेटा लॉस का सिचुएशन हो सकता है, right? Now, up in Python, specifically in Python, as I have discussed the data types in Python in my previous videos, तो या आई बटन में आपको मिल जाएगा, देयर इज द आई बटन, तो यू कैन फाइंड दैट वीडियो इन आई बटन, द टाइप डेटा टाइप्स इन पाइथन. नाउ, तो उन डेटा टाइप्स में हमने मेनली दो टाइप के जो डेटा टाइप्स पढ़े थे, म्यूटेबल डेटा टाइप्स एंड इम्यूटेबल डेटा टाइप्स, राइट? उनमें एक हमारे न्यूमेरिक्स टाइप थे और एक हमारे सीक्वेंस डेटा टाइप थे. न्यूमेरिक डेटा टाइप्स एंड सीक्वेंस डेटा टाइप्स, राइट? तो उनको लेके हमारे पास टाइप कन्वर्जन में एक कॉन्सेप्ट होता है, दैट इज कि न्यूमेरिक डेटा, the normal numeric data cannot be converted into sequence data type, right? जो भी न्यूमेरिक डेटा टाइप होगा, यानी कि इंटीजर, फ्लोट और कॉम्प्लेक्स, ये हमारे सीक्वेंस डेटा टाइप्स में कन्वर्ट नहीं हो सकते, राइट? यानी कि लिस्ट एंड ट्यूपल्स, राइट? और इन डिक्शनरी डायरेक्ट कन्वर्जन परफॉर्म नहीं होगा. रीजन कि वो हमारे sequence data types हैं, but they are iterables also. They are iterable also. But numeric data types are not iterables, right? That's why this conversion is not possible. Similarly, sequence data types cannot be converted into numeric types. कि एक लिस्ट है उसको मैं इंटीजर में कन्वर्ट नहीं कर सकता, राइट? रीजन क्या है? लिस्ट या डिक्शनरी या ट्यूपल्स को हम कन्वर्ट नहीं कर सकते. रीजन इज दिस कि लिस्ट और या सीक्वेंस डेटा टाइप जो होते हैं, दीज आर द कलेक्शन ऑफ मल्टीपल टाइप्स ऑफ वैल्यूज. तो उन सारी वैल्यूज को कलेक्टिवली इंटीजर में कन्वर्ट करना पॉसिबल नहीं है. फॉर एग्जांपल, अगर एक लिस्ट में आपने इंटीजर भी लिया है, फ्लोट भी लिया है, स्ट्रिंग भी लिया है, राइट? तो उसको आप डायरेक्टली इंटीजर में कन्वर्ट नहीं कर सकते. सेकेंडली, दे आर कलेक्शन ऑफ सेवरल वैल्यूज, बट इंटीजर वेरिएबल कैन होल्ड ओनली वन वैल्यू एट अ टाइम. a normal integer variable can hold only one value at a time, either it's an integer or a float or a complex. So the numeric data types can hold only one value at a time, and these sequence data types are collection of several values. So we cannot convert several values into a particular numeric type, right? Now, string, although string is a sequence data type, but it is the only sequence data type which can be converted into numeric types, and any numeric type can be converted into string. तो हम string को numeric में convert कर सकते हैं, यानी कि string can be converted into integer, float and complex. Similarly, complex, float and integers can be converted into strings, right? So now let's test the type conversion practically, right? So let me open my Python and I will show you the main functions of type conversion functions in Python. Practically I will demonstrate all these functions to you, right? System is started. So let's start with the practical of type conversion in Python, right? Now, the very first function is int function. This function can convert float and strings into integer. It cannot convert complex type of values into integer, right? It cannot convert complex type of values into integer, right? How it works? Say suppose I have a character based value, a numeric value, character based numeric value 234, right? Now the value of a is 234, which is character type. So I want to convert this into integer. So what I should do? What should I do? B is equals to int and then a. So this statement and this function converts this string into integer, right? So now the value of b is 234 without quotes, right? Now say suppose again b is equals to 34.67, and now if I convert this, say suppose a is equals to int b. Now what happens? It will convert this float value into integer. This converts this float value into integer, but it will truncate the decimal places. That means कि 67 will be truncated, right? यानी कि वो उसको बिल्कुल हटा देगा, neglect कर देगा 67 को. A is only 34 without decimal places, right beta? Now next, in integer function generally we know this thing about the integer, right? कि integer perform this task, it will convert string or float values to the integer, but one more thing is there. Actually integer function receives two parameters. Integer function receives two parameters, right? So one is the value and the second parameter is the base of that particular value. By default that base is 10. That means the decimal, right? By default value is decimal. But what happens if the value is binary number or a octal value or a hexadecimal value? Then what happens, right? For example, say suppose a is equals to, within a single quotes, 11001011. Now this is the value, this is the binary number, right, which is holded in a variable a as a string, Now I want to convert that binary into integer in a decimal, right? I want to convert this binary into decimal. It will convert into decimal, right? So this is binary number. So what I will do, b is equals to, suppose, int a, right, comma, the base value, which is by default decimal, that means 10. but now this is binary, so I'll give it 2. The 2 is the base of binary number. 2 is the base of binary number. Now B. So it is 203, right? This binary code represents the decimal value 203, right? So it could be octal, it could be hexadecimal, right? Again, for example, 435, this is octal value 435, and I'll give B is equals to int a comma 8. 8 is a base of octal, 8 is a base of octal value. Now B. So this is 285, right? The 435 octal value is equivalent to 285's decimal value, right beta? So this is the conversion, right? So this is the way the integer int function converts the values into decimal, right, of any base: binary, octal, by default decimal, and hexadecimal, right? For example, okay, hexadecimal also. So a equals to 4 a e 5 f, right? This is my hexadecimal code. B is equals to int a comma 16. 16 is the base of hexadecimal. 16 is the base of hexadecimal. Now, and this is equivalent to 306783 of decimal, right? So it converts hexadecimal into decimal, right? Now, next is float function. Float function. This function converts integer or string value into float, right? For example, a is equals to 78. It's a new integer value, and now b is equals to float a. Now 78.0, 78.0, right? Now if I print a, so it is simple 78 because it's an integer value, but 78.0 is a float value. So it converts integer into float, right? Now again, a equals to, within a single quote, 67.33. This is a float value in a string, right? It's a 67.33 is a string, right? And I want to convert it into float. So b is equals to float a and b, 67.33. If I print a, then it print it as a string. So value of a is string type and value of b is float type, right? Now these two functions are also used to accept values from the user, right? The input function is used to accept value from the user, and through int or float we can convert that value into either integer or float, because input method by default accept values in a string format, right? By default input method accept the values from the user in a string format, right? String type values. So to convert that string into integer or a float, we use either int or float function. We can use, for example, a is equals to int input. Now enter any number, right? Enter any number. So it will accept a number from the user and convert that number into integer, because by default input method accepts the value in a string format. Now enter any number, 67, and now a is integer part. Similarly, if I want to accept a float value, then I have to use a float instead of integer, right? A equals to float input enter any number 33.67 and a. This is float value, right? So it will convert the inputted value into either integer or float, right? Now one more method is there to convert the values either in integer or float, that is eval method, right? This is very strong method, eval, right? अभी तक हमें क्या था बेटा कि we have to use individual either int or float, depends, राइट कि भाई यूजर क्या वैल्यू डालेगा, इट डिपेंड्स, तो उसके अकॉर्डिंगली मैं इंटीजर या फ्लोट यूज कर सकता हूँ कि भाई मैं यूजर से कौन सी वैल्यू एक्सेप्ट कर रहा हूँ. बट अगर मुझे नहीं पता कि यूजर क्या डालेगा, वेदर यूजर विल इंसर्ट इंटीजर वैल्यू और फ्लोट वैल्यू, तो इन दैट पर्टिकुलर केस वी कैन यूज eval function. Eval function as a we can say कि it the eval function has an overhead over integer and float methods, float functions, right? Integer or float functions, that is it will automatically detects whether the value is integer or float, right? We do not need to define it's an integer or a float, it will automatically detects the value. For example, a is equals to eval input enter any value. Now if I said 78, it's an integer value, right? If I use similar method again, and I give 55.65, so it will automatically convert that value into a float. So eval automatically detects whether the inputted value is integer or float, right? We do not need to define that thing, right? Now one more advantage of eval function, that is we can enter multiple values simultaneously through eval function. We can enter multiple values simultaneously using eval function, but comma separated values, comma separated list of values I can enter, but I cannot enter using int or float, right? For example, say suppose now I give 23 comma 45 comma 57 67 comma 32 comma 11, right? And now press enter, right? Now a eval function by default creates tuple. Eval function by default creates tuple when we enter comma separated list of values, right? अगर हम मल्टीपल वैल्यूज eval फंक्शन के थ्रू एंटर कर रहे हैं तो eval फंक्शन बाय डिफॉल्ट उसको ट्यूपल कन्वर्ट कर देता है, तो इट्स अ ट्यूपल, right? These values are converted into tuple. Now next function is complex function, right? This function converts to integer values into complex or a string into complex. For example, a equals to 9 and b is equals to 4, and now complex a comma b, complex a comma b, so it will convert the values of a and b into a complex type, right? So I can store that value in a particular variable. Say suppose c is equals to complex a comma b. right? And now see, right? So it converts two integer values into a complex number, right? Another example is a is equals to, within a quotes, 5 plus 7j, right? Okay, so this is my string and I want to convert this string into complex. So what should I do? B is equals to complex A, and now the value of B is complex number, right? So this is my complex number. Yet another function is chr function. Chr function. Now this function is used to convert numeric into a character. That means a ASCII code into a equivalent ASCII character. ASCII code into a equivalent ASCII character, right? For example, CHR 65. 65 is a ASCII code of capital A, right? 65 is a ASCII code of capital A, right? So CHR function converts the ASCII code into equivalent ASCII character, right? ASCII stands for the American Standard Code for Information Interchange. American Standard Code for Information Interchange, right? Now, similarly, I have a function called ORD, right? Now, what is the meaning of ORD function? Now, say suppose ORD 97. This is the reverse of CHR function. It converts the ASCII character into equivalent ASCII code. It converts the ASCII character into its equivalent ASCII code, right? So the ASCII code of small a is 97, right? And as we know, the difference between capital and small alphabet is 32 ASCII codes, right? So there is a difference of 32 ASCII codes between capital and small alphabets. Str function. This function converts integer or float into string or complex into string. For example, a equals to 565, and now b is equals to str a, right? So it becomes string. So any data type I can convert into string through str function, right? Through str function I can convert any type of data into string, right? Now similarly we have one more function, that is list function, right? It converts a tuple or a string into a list. For example, a is equals to, this is my pen. This is the string, right? This is a string. Now if I said b is equals to list a, so it converts this string into a list b. So what it does, every character of this string has become a part of a list, a different element of the list, like this. Each and every alphabet of the string becomes the element of the list, right? Similarly, say suppose a is equals to, this is my tuple, right? And now b is equals to list a, and now b, right? So this tuple now converted into a list, right? If you want to convert a tuple into a list, so you can easily convert your tuple into a list, right? So similarly, I have a function called tuple, right, which converts list into a tuple, right? Or one is dictionary, right? Dict function, right? So it converts tuple into a dictionary, but that tuple must be a nested tuple. That tuple must be a nested tuple, right? Then only I can convert that tuple into a dictionary, right? For example, I'll show you. Suppose A is equals to uh, suppose 10, comma B, comma 20, C, comma 30, and D, comma 40. This is my tuple, a nested tuple. This tuple within a tuple. This is one tuple within tuple. This, the first element of the tuple is another tuple. The another element is the another tuple, and so on. I have 4 elements of the tuple, right? And now B is equals to dictionary A, and now B. So it converts this tuple into a dictionary. It converts this tuple into a dictionary like this, right? These are the functions used in Python for type conversion, right? Now, hope you like the video. If you like the video, so please do subscribe my channel, like my videos, and please do comment if you like the videos, right? And if you want to suggest something, then please comment. If you don't like the video, then please comment so I can improve myself, right? And if you want some other topic which you want to learn, then please comment. Then definitely I will make a video on that particular topic very soon, right? Thank you very much.